On this episode of One-on-One, you're going to get a treat. We're going to be talking to Miss Ophelia Lafort, and she is from the Galliano area, and she has a memory like you will not believe, and she's going to bring us down memory lane and tell us a few things about her life. It's all next on One-on-One. One-on-One is brought to you by the Law Office of Waits and Downer. So when did you get married?
In 1946.
How old were you when you got married?
I was 18.
Okay.
Persian, just out of the army. My husband,
Okay.
I miss him so. I went to a psychic who said something. She talked to me about Persian was telling her something, and she was telling it to me.
So Persian, P-E-R-S-H-I-N-G?
Yeah, the oldest of the Laforts, yeah.
Okay.
Leroy just died, his younger brother.
Right. So he was in World War II?
World War II. After the war, he even went to Japan and was patrolling. He was a policeman, I guess.
He was in the Pacific.
In the Pacific, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the whole time.
Yeah.
And I waited for him the whole time.
Yeah.
I met my husband. On Sundays, we take a school bus. It was not a school bus. It was a bus that brought us to the shrimp shed. He would bring us to the Star Theater in Galliano.
Okay.
So one day, I had a nickel for popcorn, a nickel for to go in.
Right.
So one day I observed this young man. He went and he sat down in the theater against the wall, and I probably had an eye on him.
So you had one eye on him and one eye on the movie.
So I went into the movie house, and I'll remember it like it is today. I went and I sat next to him in the theater, and he was sitting against the wall, and I said, "Hello, I'm Ophelia. What is your name?" From that day on, that was my man for the rest of my life.
You were making your move in the theater.
I'm telling you, but they had to shut me down a little bit. I talked too much.
So what was was it love at first sight?
I have to believe that that's what it was, because we saw no one else after that. I waited for him during the war because I would write to him every day during the war. Every day. Nobody believes this, but
Yeah.
every day of my life I wrote to him while he was overseas.
And how long would it take you to get the letters back? 2 or 3 weeks?
It would take a while, you know.
Yeah. But you know, letters are so nostalgic because now with the cell phones,
Yeah,
there's no documentation.
no.
Everything is instant.
I know.
You know?
I'll never get there. I'll
Yeah.
never get there. I guarantee you that. Because I have no cell phone. I use a house phone. And
You remember your first phone?
we had moved to Galliano. We each had party lines. If somebody was on the other line, you couldn't
Right.
talk. Yeah,
There were 4 houses to each party line.
yeah, yeah.
So you'd listen for the rings, right?
Yeah, right. And
Ring,
and if
ring
you-
might be your house.
Yeah, I know. And it was not too pleasant, you know. It was rough, but it was good.
Bet you hear some good scoop on the other line, huh?
You could hear a lot of stuff. I guarantee you that.
And so how old were you when the party lines were there? Do you remember?
16, I guess.
16.
16 or 17. I married Persian at the age of 18. He was 21.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where'd y'all live when y'all got
In
married?
Galliano, my daddy gave us a piece of property. We built a house, and that's where we raised our 4 children. And later on, we bought what is known as the Teachridge in La Rose, which was built to bring teachers to our area. So when it went up for sale, I was a teacher. I was a secretary at LCO Junior High for 17 years. Later on I had 4 careers, by the way.
What were they?
First was skinning muskrats.
Okay.
Okay. Then I worked at the hospital under Paul Terrebonne.
Okay.
I was secretary at LCO Junior High for 17 years.
Okay.
And then I was a housewife,
Right.
4 careers.
I was LCO for 17 years.
Somebody called me and said, they need a secretary at LCO Junior High. Okay, I'll go apply. Got it right all that. And I worked there for 17 years.
Do
And
you
then I
remember Bobby Hebert, our good buddy?
Oh,
going to
yeah,
school
when he
there?
was at St. Laforge by then.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Just wanted to see if he was bad or not, and if you
Oh,
had
no, I
to
didn't.
correct him.
Well, you know, about the Hebert, yeah, okay. His grandfather had married my daddy's sister at one time.
For all of your cases, including those with catastrophic significance, call Waits and Downer Law Firm.
Something tells me all these big shots on the bayou, like all these boat builders and all that, they've done very well. People down Bayou Lafourche have done extremely well.
This is what my dream is. With this little recording that I brought you, our children have to know about this.
Right.
And so we're going to work, Gail and I, got a good partner there. We're going to try to produce books
Right.
telling about that early life for our children to know that.
Right.
And put them in the schools. I want to dedicate my entire life to my Cajun heritage.
And let me tell you further than that, this tape we're doing today, and I encourage anybody watching, looking at the camera now, if you have someone like Miss Ophelia, who is a walking history book, to come on one-on-one, send us a letter like Gail did, and because we wouldn't have known about you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we wouldn't have known about you.
You know, it's been such. When my son, he was dying. Oh, my firstborn, he died of cancer, prostate cancer, and he was an artist. He was a wonderful artist. And before he died, he's got me this little recording, and he knew how I loved my Cajun heritage. Mm-hmm. Nobody can take that away from me.
Right.
Let me tell you.
Right.
And I want my children to know that, to know what it was like when we came on this little black bayou, that people settled this bayou. You know how hard they worked?
Yeah.
Do you know what a small farmer was called?
What?
A petit habitant,
What's that mean?
a small farmer
In French?
in French.
Say it again?
Un petit habitant.
Okay.
You see, a lot of people in French don't know that.
Right.
But
Certainly in English, I don't know that.
But I myself heard the word, and I had never really concentrated on the word. Somebody said about the petits habitants, meaning they settled, but they weren't plantation homeowners.
Right.
They were petits habitants.
It's good to have people like you that want to
know
keep
what?
the heritage going.
Let me tell you a story. Two of my boys, my twin grandsons, were going to LSU. Mm-hmm. And so Jay asked his professor said to him, he wanted to know where John Jay came from. And he said, Jay, can we go talk to your grandmother? And he said, well, I'll ask her if you want to. I did at least 3 documentaries, some on verbal. He was verbal. It's at LSU. He came, he said, you know, you have lived all these years. You know what you know that we'll never know.
Right. But
So
that's why it's so important. I did it with my mom and dad. I did my grandparents when they were in their 90s.
Yeah.
My grandfather was around 95. My grandmother was in her 90s. I sat
That's
him
so
down
much
on the
to
swing.
share. Oh my God.
I was 24 at the time, and I interviewed him.
Share.
They talked about what his favorite meal was, that he had a silver piece of steel over his heart during World War I.
Wow.
So in case he got shot, it would hit the steel, but then he could shave with it in the morning.
Oh my goodness.
So the little things
Yeah.
and I tell the grandchildren all the time, sit your grandparents down. With all the cell phone stuff now, you could interview, get as much as you can. And you've been doing that.
We got to let the children of today know what it was like to. Do you know there were trappers, there were farmers, there was the shred. Oh, I worked in the shrimp shed packing shrimp at the age. Guess what I did? I wanted to go earn some money. So I did. I wasn't old enough to be, I wasn't 16. I was 15 years old. I forged my date of birth. I was able to go pack shrimp at the Cherami Packing Company, Bateau Cherami. He had a packing company. So my friends and I, girlfriends, we went packing shrimp in cans.
So you told a small fib to get the job.
I told a small fib that I was 16 and I was not.
Let me ask you this. When you said Cherami, it made me think of the Hank Williams song, Jambalaya.
Jambalaya, okay.
Do you remember when all that was popular and all?
Oh my God, yeah.
And how did that make y'all feel that Hank Williams Sr. came through Lafort and wrote a song about you all?
I thought it was great. I thought it was great. Do you know who brought me to my 90th birthday?
I heard it was Elvis Presley.
Elvis Presley came in his pink Cadillac. He bought one of Elvis's original Cadillac.
Right.
And he's such a wonderful fella. So I invited him to my birthday party, okay? Well, he came and picked me up in the pink Cadillac. I'm telling you, and I was listening. Every once in a while, he goes down my street, and I'm listening to Elvis's records.
Right.
What a day that is for me every day of my life.
So Elvis was one of your favorites?
Oh, yeah. Persian didn't like him. He thought he was too fonchak, you know what that is?
Was fonchak like a showman?
Yeah.
Fonchak?
Like he was bragging about it.
Say that again, fonchak?
Fonchak means bragger.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your husband Persian didn't care for Elvis?
Persian didn't care for him, but I don't care. I listen to him.
For all of your cases, including those with catastrophic significance, call Waits and Downer Law Firm.
What's the first thing you ever painted?
2 onions and 2 cucumbers on a small canvas.
Really?
I still have them.
I'll be.
And I cannot tell you the amount of canvases that I've sold and that I've made and I've given. And in fact, all my grandchildren right now, they're getting, come get your piece. So they come and get their piece from my mom before she goes.
What made you paint onions and cucumbers? Did you grow up with a garden?
No. It was a simple thing to do, I guess.
Okay.
So when I went, I had a small canvas, and the teacher said, "What would you like to paint?" And I guess she must have said, "You can start with that."
Right.
Well, that's what I started with in 1972, I guess it was.
Okay.
Yeah. And I've done. Some people in Europe have some of my work because I went to Europe and went to England and I brought some of my work there, and I gave a lot of my work away because to me it's a gift that God has given me. I didn't know I could do that.
Yeah. When you say 1972, it makes me think of President Nixon.
Oh yeah.
Tell me some of the presidents you remember, and who's your favorite president?
The older one that got
Reagan?
No.
Oh, assassinated?
Yeah.
Kennedy?
Kennedy.
Kennedy's your favorite?
He was a wonderful man.
Okay.
He might have, some people might not have thought he was wonderful, but I thought he was good for the country.
Okay.
Yeah.
President Reagan, did you like President Reagan?
I like President Reagan. I really liked him. I liked all my presidents. I love
Nixon?
Trump. I pray every day for Trump.
But so you've seen a lot of presidents.
I have. I am so grateful for this. And I talked to my Lord and I asked him these questions. I said, now Lord, why am I living to be 90? And why are you asking the Lord that? Well, he's got to tell me. One day I'm going to meet him face to face. And he's got to give me a hug.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to know, is it because I say prayers for everybody. I have a list of prayers, both sides are so full of prayers. And, and it's my joy to do that. I enjoy doing that.
For all of your cases, including those with catastrophic significance, call Waits and Downer Law Firm.
Who ran the household? You or Pershing?
Oh, Persian was in charge. He was. He was a good provider, a good husband.
Yeah.
He liked the beer a little bit too much, you know. But that's okay. That's
What kind did he drink? Falstaff?
No, Budweiser, I think.
Budweiser?
Yeah, I think it was Budweiser.
The king of beers. Huh?
King of beers. But he was such a good provider. All his children had a high college education.
Yeah. Now he was a mechanical engineer, right?
Mechanical engineer. But he worked for Texaco more. When he came out of college, he worked for a man. It was in Buras. And he was such a man to work for that was so hard for Pershing. But Pershing had a very kind heart.
Right.
And he worked for the devil of a man. So he didn't like to do the engineering work anymore because of that.
Okay.
But he worked for Texaco, and he did some engineering work for Texaco.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he was well educated.
Well educated.
Yeah.
And a wonderful provider. Our children had such. My son, John, my baby John, is playing on Bourbon Street. Every one of my children had music education.
Yeah. So what do they play? Tell me your kids and what
Piano, horn.
Who plays piano?
John, Wanda.
Okay.
Nolan is the only one. When I introduced Nolan, my oldest one, the one who died 2 years ago, he thought it was for girls. Pianos was for girls, so he didn't. But Wanda plays at church. Donna plays at church. John plays. He goes on Bourbon Street twice a week.
Okay. And he plays in some of the bands that.
No, he has his own music. He brings his keyboard with him,
Right.
and he has a little group with him.
Yeah.
He said he's like the little father.
But it sounds like your whole family has a creative side to them.
But I think it's just doing.
Yeah, but some people have a business side of their brain.
Yeah.
Some people follow the creative side.
But I didn't know I could do that. You
Right.
know, look at all the sculptures I'm doing now. Mm-hmm. In wood. Oh, you're going to see my wood sculpture.
Well, I heard you were doing some carving, right?
Wow, yes, I'm doing some bird carvings. I did 13 little birds for my little great-granddaughters. Mm-hmm. And for the little grandson, I think it was 10 or 12 of them, of the little miniature ducks.
So you have a steady hand.
Oh, yeah, I have a good knife.
You could have been a surgeon.
I could have been a surgeon, who knows?
Yeah. Did you carve this on the stand?
I sure did.
And then we'll get it.
This is a Cajun man. Doesn't he look like a Cajun man?
Sure does.
He's got a cigarette in his mouth. You see that?
Now, if he'd have had a Budweiser beer in his hand, I said that's Persian.
Real Cajun man.
All right, well, that's very good.
Right now, you know what I'm going to put in this? It's going to be a little rooster. I'm carving a little kudu jaga. It's a miniature rooster, black and white. I'm doing it right now. And Carl Danos, who is my teacher, he says, Dudu, he calls me Dudu.
Right.
Dudu, because we're related. Carl and I are third cousins because his mother and my mother and his grandmother were sisters.
Right.
So he said, your little rooster is going to get a first prize, he said. And your little duck that you're doing right now is going to be first place. I said, okay, Carl.
Does it make you happy when you win these ribbons?
Oh, I know. It's wonderful.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So you got a little competitive side to you.
I do. I have ribbons, but I don't put too much play on ribbons. But my house is full of my work.
Isn't it on the register, your house?
It's a teacherage,
Right.
that we bought from the school board on bid, on house bids, and then we moved from Galliano to there. That's my home now. That's come see me one day.
I will. But it's on the historical register, right?
It is. It has to be.
Okay.
Because it was built in I think it was built in 1920s to house teachers out of parish. I have the original name of every teacher that ever lived in that house.
Really?
It's in my hall. It's a historical piece. My house is a history. It's a history. And there's Mr. Bienvenu. He was the principal at LCO for years. His picture is right on that table.
That's pretty
with all the
neat.
teachers' names.
That's neat in itself.
I know.
This one-on-one program has been brought to you by the law offices of Waits and Downer.